You clicked onto this because you wanted to learn how to become more magnetic. And I'll teach you that, but I'll give you the disclaimer that there is something within you that you have built over several years of your life that is the key to your magnetism. Sit tight, drink your tea, and let's talk. Now, if we don't know each other already, hello, I'm Shanila. I'm the founder of Always Play Studios and Flow Breathwork Facilitator Training, where I train sound healers, breathwork facilitators, and I mentor aspiring healers. Now, this idea of magnetism is like this buzzword a lot of times, right? Because you hear about law of attraction, you hear about nervous system regulation, you hear about trauma healing, and all these different things that are true to how it is that you become magnetic. Let's break down what the heck magnetic even means, okay? First things first, there's an episode that I made about magnets, okay? And it's like, we got to break this down because magnets actually do two things. Magnets have two sides. One side attracts and the other side repels, okay? Depending on which side that you're using, you're going to either attract and simultaneously you're going to repel. So to personally become a magnet, you're also going to do both those two things. It's not that you're only attracting, you're simultaneously repelling the things that you don't want. Okay. So magnetizing for you might be certain hobbies or certain opportunities or certain people or certain experiences or certain feelings in your life. All of us define magnetism in a different way. Sometimes it's by your beauty or the way that you look and you want to be attractive in that way. Certain people will describe magnetism in different ways. So first things first, it's important for you to realize and define for yourself, what is magnetism for you? Like, what does it mean for you to be magnetic? Is it that people listen to you when you speak? Is it that people notice you when you walk into a room? Is it that fill in the blank, right? Because for many people, they don't want to be noticed when they walk into their room, or they don't want to be talking all the time, or they don't want to be perceived all the time. Being magnetic is a different thing. So first things first, it's important for you to kind of identify for yourself, like, what does it actually mean for me to have a magnetic presence? Is it my voice? Is it my looks? Is it my, my ideas? Is it my education? What is it? It's important for you to identify that. But the thing that I mentioned in the beginning of this episode is that there's something that you've been building within you that contributes to the way that you are either magnetizing, repelling, or doing none of those things at the same time. Okay. And this is the idea of your self concept. All right. Self concept is the version of you that you've built in your head over time. All right. And some parts of it's true and some parts of it's not true. Some part of it's a big fat fucking lie. And you just believe certain things about yourself because you're programmed to. And society told you and your parents told you, and you've been, conditioned to believe certain things about you that may or may not be true, but you've never really looked at that. So self concept is basically the image that you have of yourself or the identity that you've built over time of yourself. And all of us have value to having built an identity, and all of us have, struggled to build identity. Some of us deeply know who we are and that's our identity, and some of us have to, spend a little extra time figuring that out. But the thing about self concept and the way that it translates to the way that you magnetize or repel things in your life is that your self concept has to evolve as you evolve what it is that you're magnetizing to you. Okay. And for many of us, we want to stay the same and we want to attract a thing that is outside of our self concept. So if you believe yourself to be confident, you're probably attracting certain things in your life that confirms that. If you believe yourself to be self sufficient or financially literate or a great friend or a great partner in business or a great partner in a romantic relationship, you're probably going to confirm your belief depending on what it is that you believe about yourself. And our identities that we built over time have helped us, to have an identity to say, like, I'm this or that, or this is my, 140 character bio that I write about myself. It helps me identify myself as a certain way. It can feel really empowering. It can feel very liberating. It can also support you in building confidence and to building your self concept. And simultaneously, it can really destruct you from the next level, the next layer of yourself. So if your 140 characters on your Instagram bio says this about you, and you're like, but I'm not this anymore, but you're attached to that, and you're like, but I told everybody I was this, and everybody thinks I am this, and everybody who, follows me on Instagram thinks that I am this, it's going to be more difficult for you to break away from that self-concept because you're so attached to that identity, right? And we've all had that, we don't know who we are, then all of a sudden realize that this is who we are, and then we're like, that's not who I am anymore though. Like, like that supported me for the last 2 years or the last 5 years, the last 10 years of my life. It really gave me my identity, gave me my confidence, and gave me my purpose in life. But now I just feel like it's holding me down. It's bogging me down. It's weighing me down because I don't resonate with what this is anymore. So certain things that were supportive for you can not be supportive for you going forward, right? Like it breaks down in self-concept. So what does that have to do with magnetizing? And what does that have to do with your future and being able to magnetize certain things to yourself? Is that a lot of our self-concept does not match what it is that we're trying to manifest in the future. Okay. So for example, if you have this idea that you're always broke, you're always going to struggle, and you're always living in scarcity, and you're always having to be in survival mode, and you're always not getting the raise, you're always getting passed over for the promotion and the opportunities, and people don't like you, you don't have enough experience. If that's what you believe about yourself, whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter. If that's your belief system, you're not necessarily attracting opportunities that say otherwise. So you're not really attracting the opportunities that are abundant financially because you're believing that, like, oh, I'm getting passed over for this opportunity. People think that I'm not responsible enough, or I'm too young for this, or I'm too old for this, or I'm too this for this, or I'm too that for that. You're not necessarily this vibrational match for the thing that is on the other side. So to upgrade your self concept basically means that things need to break down, So you have to look at the belief systems that you have about yourself and the identities that you have built, whether it has supported you or not. Because sometimes we think that when we're like working through our limiting beliefs, or we're working through our identities, we're working through, becoming this next version, we have to think that everything that we are is this negative thing. And that's just not true, because there's many things about you that are inherently really awesome and has so much wisdom inherently in it. But if your self concept, if your identity of yourself is that I'm not somebody who knows how to do that, or I'm not somebody who knows how to handle that, or I'm not somebody who can manage this, then those opportunities are not necessarily an attraction to you. You're repelling those opportunities from you. So to become magnetic, you have to really dive into your version of your identity, your version of what it is that you think about yourself and what it is that you believe about yourself. Now, there is a school of thought that says fake it till you make it, and there's pros and cons to that, because there is a pro of being in the energy of whatever it is that you want to be, and then eventually just becoming that. So if you want to be confident, like start today, and then tomorrow, like move through the world like you have some confidence. If you want to be in this energy of self love, practice acting that way, and then eventually you are. So there is a pathway where you do fake it till you make it, and and eventually you become that. There's another pathway where if you fake it, the energetics don't actually land in the way that it's supposed to. So for example, if you believe yourself to be financially illiterate, or you're irresponsible with money, you could fake it till you became financially responsible with your money, or you could learn the tools that help you become financially responsible with your money, right? Like you don't fake being responsible, you learn the things that allow you to be that. Okay. So part of the self-concept idea and its relationship to becoming magnetic is that you do have to investigate what part of your self-concept is not necessarily in alignment with what you're manifesting, or what it is that you want to call into your life. So if you don't want to call it manifesting, if you don't want to call it, prayers, if you don't want to call it, journaling or goal setting, figure out what your language is, and use that. But essentially, part of your self-concept is either supporting you in your manifestations, or it's detracting you from your manifestations. So part of your responsibility or your challenge in looking at your self concept is to say, what is it that I believe about myself? And why is it or is it not a match for the things that I'm calling in my life? So if I believe myself to be, a really amazing partner, a romantic partner, I'm calling in my beautiful partner in my life. What about me believes that I'm not worthy enough for that, or I have to do X, Y, and Z things in order to deserve it 10 years from now, or 5 years from now, or if I do these things, or if I become this person, then I deserve that. What part of me believes that? Or if I'm saying I want to manifest or I want to call into my life, a successful business. First, I have to look at myself and say, what about me believes that I'm not a great entrepreneur, that I'm not going to be able to be disciplined or consistent, or I don't deal well with failures, or I don't deal with resiliency, or I don't have resiliency? What part of me is functioning under these pretenses that is a vibrational mismatch for the things that I actually want to manifest? So, your self concept is this identity that is in your hands. It's not like I'm giving you these affirmations for your self concept. Yes, that's the part where you can fake it till you make it, because you repeat things that, sound good to you, and you start to believe and start to have confidence in yourself because you're listening to affirmations. Yes, that could be part of that, but self concept is in your hands, because it's not my concept of you, it's not societal concept, it is self concept. That comes from you deciding, what is it that I want to believe about myself? Even if it's not true just yet. Even if I look at my bank account and I'm like, oh shit, I am very financially irresponsible, and I feel shame about it, and I feel, I feel cringe about it, I feel disappointed about it. Even if those things are true, how is it that I can look at the way that I think about myself that is from a more of a growth energy, growth mindset? In psychology, it's a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. Growth mindset basically means that you believe that you have the ability to change yourself over time and you change your circumstances over time, versus a fixed mindset basically means like that's just how it is and I'm irresponsible because everybody in my family was irresponsible and that's just it. I'm not ever going to be able to learn the skills or the tools and there's just no helping me. Okay, that's a fixed mindset. So your self concept has to exist in a growth mindset. Basically, it says if these things are not true about me, I'm going to investigate and start to develop the tools that help me shift the way that I am and think about myself into this identity that is a vibrational match for all the things that I'm manifesting in my life. So, for example, if we come back into this like financial literacy or this financial responsible concept, if you believe that everybody in your family has been financially responsible because they've always had to survive, they've always had to take on jobs that they don't want to, and anytime that they have money, they always just spend it, they don't invest it, and investment seems like this ew word. It seems like everybody has this energy, and so you never really learned the skill sets to manage your money. You never learned how to save, you never learned how to invest, you never learned how to, put it away in a certain way, or just your relationship with money feels like you're hoarding it. You might have a specific relationship with money, and so part of your self concept might be that like that's just how it is. The fixed energy, the fixed mindset around that is like that's just how it is. That's just how my mom was, my parents were, my dad was, and my uncles are like that, and everybody, my cousins are like that too. So that's just like it's just in my bones, and that's just my culture. That's just how I am. Versus looking at it and to say, oh shit, they never learned or they never had the skills for this type of literacy. So how is it that I can begin to learn this myself without feeling angry at my parents, without feeling angry at so and so, without feeling resentment, or without feeling bad for maybe the thousands and hundreds of thousands perhaps of dollars that you've wasted or lost, and without going back into the past and feeling sorry and bad for yourself? How is it that you can develop the skills to learn to go forward? So perhaps you take a class, perhaps you get a mentor who can support you in coordinating your finances. Perhaps you even bother looking at your finances because you have a certain type of feeling or emotions when you look at your bank account. You're like, your body just goes into this like panic mode. You don't even want to do that. Perhaps you regulate your nervous system to be able to look at your bank account, to be able to look at the receipts, to look at your spending habits, or whatever it is. You're able to pursue this line of story that you've told yourself that I'm just financially illiterate or financially irresponsible, and starting to take actions towards those things that say otherwise, you know? So it's like, oh, I didn't know about these things, but now I know about this. And now that I know about it, maybe I don't know how to practice it, but here it is me practicing it. This is me actually putting it into practice. This is me having the evidence of, financial literacy, even if I'm not perfect the first day I do it or the first 2 years that I do that, right? So there's this learning curve that goes with that. So the more that your self-concept shifts and changes, the more your manifestations do too, because you're not afraid of having money in your life anymore, because you're not afraid of having those relationships in your life anymore. You're not afraid of having these things in your life anymore. So even if logically and linearly you've never really been afraid, because like, you want these friends, you want these opportunities, you want these aren't here thing. This is a brain thing. This is an up here mindset thing, versus manifestation and building your self concept is a energetic thing. So energetically, you might still be in panic mode, and you still might be in survival mode, in resisting mode, in self sabotage mode, in perfectionism mode, in people pleasing mode, in no boundaries kind of mode. All of these things come from you energetically, because you don't want to believe that about yourself. You don't want to believe that you're somebody without boundaries, because, like, you're not that girl, You don't want to believe these things about yourself. Your head says one thing, but your energetic body says something different. So the more that you're able to adapt and upgrade your self concept as life changes, and sometimes it is immediate. Like tomorrow you can decide, like, I'm over it. I don't want to be financially irresponsible. And tomorrow, from today, right now, I make different decisions. You can. That's a quantum leap. Like, you can just like leap to a new reality and just become. That is absolutely true. But sometimes it's more incremental, rebuilding your self-concept and to deconstruct your self-concept from years of your self-beliefs, years of your narratives, years of things that you told yourself, and then to have to like build it up from a different way. It's not just mindset work, my friend. Okay. And this is not this blank affirmation work where you're saying certain things, you're screaming certain things into the ether, but you're energetically still not believing in it, right? So your self-concept is when your energetics match what it is that you're saying and doing. All right. So if you're saying that I want this type of opportunity or I want this type of life, okay, maybe energetically you actually feel afraid to receive that type of life. Maybe there's some shame or guilt around it because you see other people in your life who are struggling or suffering, or there's all these different things that are happening in life. So you feel like, I'm not supposed to have it. I'm not supposed to receive it. So even if you say it, even if you're drawing it, even if you're writing it, even if you're making your vision board about it, your body disagrees. Your body says, I'm still afraid to receive this thing into my life fully. So the more that you work on that self-concept, the more energetically aligned you become to the manifestations that you're calling into your life. Okay. So sorry, there's no like blueprint to that. Sorry, it's like, work that you have to do for yourself. But that's also the exciting part, that it is in your locus of control. It is in your agency. And you can decide, like, do I repeat stories that are not supportive or helpful? Do I like being a victim? Am I wanting to repeat stories about myself because I like the attention? Or am I actually willing to become this new person or this new version or this new chapter, this new era? And energetically, I'm going to have to do something about it. That has nothing to do with what I'm shouting into the mirror. It has nothing to do with what I'm writing. It has very little to do with what I'm speaking. Even though those things play a part, my energetics is what's going to help me step into the energy of what it is that I'm calling into my life. Yeah. If you're not already subscribed to the podcast, definitely go ahead and subscribe and send this video to a bunch of your friends so you can upgrade your self-concept together and become magnetic together. I like that idea. So definitely subscribe and head to www.alwaysplay.org for mentorship, masterminds, trainings in breathwork and sound healing, and general exploration in the healing arts. And just remember, the world is your playground. And until next time, I will catch you soon.